Since June the 16th, when South African troops and police opened fire on a peaceful school children's demonstration, the white government has presided over the largest massacre of its black population since South Africa came into existence. Hundreds of blacks have died, thousands have been wounded, but the white Prime Minister says there is no crisis. The killings started in Soweto, the huge black township outside Johannesburg. On June the 16th, Soweto's school children gathered in protest against the introduction of compulsory teaching in Afrikaans, the main dialect of the ruling white minority. They met dogs, tear gas and bullets. The schoolboy who led that day's protest was 19-year-old Tsietsi Mashinini.
What can Americans in general and black Americans specifically do to aid the struggle in Southern Africa?
The only thing that Americans can do to help the black struggle in Southern Africa, one is the Western press here covers the incidents that occur in South Africa in the interest of the South African racist regime and not in the interest of the black people who are suffering there. So one, they've got to play a very educative role amongst themselves, whereby they can conscientize each other about the genocide that is going on in Southern Africa. Then after they build a mass movement to get US complicity out of Southern Africa, to get the corporations out of South Africa, to end US military and diplomatic links with Southern Africa. Only then will the black people in South Africa be given a fair chance to fight their white enemy and to create a better South Africa.
It would be presumptuous for me to not agree with the presentation that this very courageous and articulate and even eloquent young South African has presented to us, because what we were looking at was a statement coming from a person who's suffering within that system. Mm-hmm. And therefore, in a way, you can't say that how can you disagree with a cry of anguish and of rebellion, even though you might disagree with minor details of what somebody has had to say here and there throughout the presentation. And as I looked at this, I just had 2 points that I wanted to comment on, and they both tie up what happened there with what has happened in the USA. The young man mentioned that he thought that Andrew Young may have played a progressive role at some point in the U.S. In the United States politics. And I think the significance of Andrew Young in many ways is that he was a leader in the nonviolent movement as led by King. And the young man had also said that he expressed his disillusionment with the nonviolent movement. Yeah. Therefore, I wanted to point out something about South African history, that even before King got his movement underway, one of the most massive attempts at trying to have a nonviolent passive resistance movement that the world has seen was the attempt back in the 1950s of the South African people to carry out the so-called Martin Luther King type thing. And it did not bring them what they needed and wanted. And we have a parallel with this, because as I looked at this, I was thinking about 1964, 1965, 1966, and 1967, 65 particularly, Watts. Because this is the same kind of response that the youth of the black ghettos of the North had after many years of a civil rights movement that had not brought any concrete gains to them in terms of the kinds of misery they were suffering, police brutality, unemployment, you name it, the same things you have in Soweto. There was this kind of response. Therefore, no American should not be able to understand this response, because this was the USA rebellions, the ghetto rebellions of 64, 65, 66, and 67. And I put them, in that kind of context. To say you disagreed with this statement, in a way, is to say that you felt that what happened then was of no consequence, for instance, in perhaps bringing us to the point where Carter and Andy Young are where they are today.